Is anyone watching?
Oh, they're all watching, Matt Biolos. Welcome back. We're here in Del Mar, California. This is the Boardroom. My name's Todd Klein. Alongside me, Dave Stanfield, but right now in the shaping bay, that looks like John Pizell. Dave?
Yeah, it looks like Pizell is finishing up.
And
well, I've got a
poison.
great question for one of our judges. Does it matter if you're left-handed or right-handed as a shaper?
Well, let's introduce him.
Well, let's do it.
Our guest now joining us is Matt Biolos. You've actually won the Icons of Foam in the past. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm okay.
You're sounding good.
Okay, now I started hitting the beer cart about an hour ago.
Well,
Really?
that's okay. It's past lunch.
Give me your phone. I want to Instagram you right now.
Instagram me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my phone died about 2 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you judging the Icons of Foam?
I'm the backup. I'm there to give Mark support and tell him not to be afraid to tell someone their board's not good enough, and yeah. So I'm there as a second opinion for Mark. Mark's the actual judge.
Hold it. You're playing good cop, bad cop, and you're the bad cop?
I'm always the bad cop.
Well, tell us a little bit, give us some insight what you guys are looking for when you check out the shapes. You don't know who made them. Obviously, we know the 6 individuals who are, having the opportunity to be recognized here in the Icons of Foam with Mark Richards being,
I'm always looking for, I mean, personally, I don't know what Mark's looking for, but I'm looking for authenticity. We've been the domestic license for MR Surfboards for the last 6-7 years. So we've made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So I'm just looking for the closest representation of a stereotypical perfect MR that would come off the production line. That means the rail, the rocker, the foil, and if it's close between 2 boards, well, then we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, and we're going to look at thickness, flow, rail, volume, rocker, everything. We'll find the best one.
Did Lost come before Mayhem? Hold on, let me flash back.
The chicken or the egg?
1985, Mount Baldy snowboard trip.
Well, we did a lot of Mount Baldy snowboard trips. I grew up right there. But I think my friends and I started scribbling like little Team Lost on our notebooks before we started using the Mayhem moniker. But the first product that I made was, I was making Mayhem on the surfboards before I ever tried to sell anything with the word Lost on it. So.
And when was that?
What?
What year was that you started making
I started
boards?
making surfboards in the summer of '87. And I called them, well, the first board I shaped, I called a rat's ass, because I really didn't give. Anyways, and then I think my second board and everyone after it, at some way or the other, said Mayhem on it. That would have been June, July of '87, 25 years.
Let's jump around a bit. Quickly, Trestles is done and dusted, but how many boards did you shape before the Hurley event got underway?
The one this year?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been, I made boards for about 12 guys, anywhere from 3 to 10 boards per guy. I think we probably made 80, 90 boards for that contest.
Just for the pro surfers alone coming to town for the Hurley Pro.
Well, the good thing is most of them they're making good money. I wouldn't call them all wealthy, but they're paid well, and they're world-class athletes, so they pay for their boards.
Yep.
The vast majority, unless they're actual team rider, like Kaloe, he doesn't pay.
Brother Andino has helped because he's a team rider, and Julian and Taj and people like that borrow his board and say, hey, I want one.
Everything that's kind of really good with our run right now with the pro athletes is, I credit the vast majority of it to the hard work we've done the last 4 years with Kaloe and his dad, Dino. And then people like Taj and Julian, they see what we're doing, and they came in and they sample it. And if you do a good job for a guy like that, they're going to stay with you.
And that group on World Tour is so tight. They talk amongst one another. They're checking out each other's boards, and they're like, hey, I got to give Matt a call. I'm heading to Trestles. I got to get 6.
It's not easy. We made boards for like 12 guys, so like 1/3 of the tour, but I think maybe 7 actually use boards in the event. It's not an easy game.
Lost, Mayhem, Matt Biolos. Let's quickly touch on Chris Ward. What a character.
Where's Warda?
How's the series going?
I think it went great. I mean, it's almost over. We have basically our, we still have the grand finale coming, But I think it's been great. I think that he's an authentic and unique human being. He's as talented as any surfer that's ever walked the earth. And love him, hate him, disregard him, you can't ignore him.
Yeah.
What do you got next to you? You've got a pretty
this is a
bright
couch
color
potato.
board. What's this?
Couch potato.
Couch potato, so it's perfect.
So as we segue into
It's a
that,
couch
Dave,
potato. It's part of my Domesticated series, and it's for guys that, you know, their waist size might be growing the opposite direction of their water time. You know, so you're like less hours in the water, more inches on the waist, and you need a board that can make those precious hours fun. And this board, without losing too much performance. So this board's like easy to move around in the lineup, easy to catch waves, it has built-in speed, but there's enough subtle high-performance characteristics in it that you can still go up and hit the lip, do complete roundhouses, and surf in a often overused term, high-performance manner.
well, and speaking of which, you and I caught up a little bit at Lower Trestles, and I asked you at the time, and I'd love to, you know, have you answer it again while we're live, but how do you take the feedback from some of the world's best, like Kaloe, Taj, etc., on the equipment you shape for them, and then put it into a board for your average Joe, the guy that wants to surf as high performance as he can, but obviously doesn't have near the talent?
I think there's two ways to go, and what you're talking about is the top to bottom way, and with that way, I think you just basically need to use a higher ratio of volume for weight. So if Taj Burrow weighs 150 pounds and he's using 23.5 liters of volume, an average surfer who works all week and then goes down to the beach, you know, maybe gets in the water 3 times a week, that same surfer, I would say he should be using, you know, 15 to 20% more volume. So he can still catch the waves, he can still make a mistake while on the wave and not lose all his speed. But an average surfer, most of the boards the top pros are riding today, the average surfer can ride them. I just think they need a little extra volume in the same design.
Do you put it on a scale? Do you feel it in your hands? How do you do volume?
Oh, no. Volume is a measurement of mass. So it's not about how much the board weighs. It's a numerical measurement that really, without a water tank, you can't do on your own. You have to. The computer tells you. My CAD program tells me the volume. Yeah, and we track it and we keep really close tabs. And something that 4 years ago, I would go out on a limb and say maybe even 2 years ago, no one in the top 32 could tell you what volume their typical board is, but I would go as far as say 3/4 of them today could. Nick Fanning will say, hey, I'm 26.2. Julian will go, yeah, most of my best boards are 26.5. So I think the top guys, and then average surfers too, out in this place here, which tends to be more my passion. Working with the pro athletes is just the avenue that it makes me fortunate enough to do my true passion. That's make boards like this for me and my friends. You know? And
the quad and the quad phenomenon.
Oh, so the pros are finally learning what us normal guys have known for years. Yeah.
Why? And if you had to describe somebody that is new to
Why?
surf, yeah,
Because
3 and
Jesus
4.
said it's all right when he won that contest at Tavarua a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one question, you know, going back and relating the pros and finding those parallels, a lot of guys riding shorter boards now on the World Tour. Are you seeing the average Joe also kind of react to that?
Yeah. I think they might be shorter, but the rocker's been lowered, the noses are wider, there's more volume, and it's just more of a redistribution of foam.
Yep.
You know, we used to ride, I remember I used to come across you on the Pro Tour in the mid-90s, and everybody was riding boards with, you know, 11-inch noses, and they're really bent up, and you whack an inch off that thing and no one's going to know the difference.
Yep.
So it's just more of the rail line is being used now, more effective edge. So back then, if Andy Irons rode a 6.1, you know, by 18.5, 6-8 years ago, you could put that same effective edge into a 5.11 right now. You know, just the nose would be wider and the entry rocker would be a little lower.
Well, obviously you're one of the guys that, you know, I love to sit here all day and talk with, and we'll continue to back around and jump back and forth until they tell us to get the heck out of here. But in the meantime, I want to give you some more time to plug your boards. Tell us a little bit, we talked about this couch potato. What else do we have here, and what other kind of models are the ones that are really trending for Matt Biolos and Mayhem?
So for 2013, we're doing the Domesticated series, and this is the other one. This is the Lazy Boy. You know, Lazy Boy, couch potato. They're both prominent things in a domesticated household.
You got a remote, like...
And they both actually work together. This one's got a narrower nose, narrower tail, and a little more rocker. So this is basically a one-board kind of, This board's designed for an average Joe, maybe a
Little
guy
more
who's
rocker,
40
that
years
thing's
old,
still
has a
flat.
couple kids, and you ride this board in, you know, stomach high to 2-3 feet overhead, and it can handle an 8-foot face. You can still put it on a rail and turn it. It's got a lot of volume, but we neutralize the volume by having virtually no concave. It's a flat bottom, a little bit of V, so you can get that high volume board down into the water. And it's got a lot of 70s Australia, Wayne Lynch, Michael Peterson influence in the outline. It's almost a double ender. The width and the rocker are the same, 2 feet from the nose and 2 feet from the tail.
Wow.
And then the one we started with before, the couch potato, is basically its little fat little brother that you would ride like chest high and down. But this board's, it's got less entry rocker, it's got a wider nose and a wider tail. It's got pretty much the same bottom contours and the same tail rocker, so you can still fit it in the pocket and do lots of maneuvers, but it really excels in a belly button to waist high wave. For me, it's like a 2-board, mushy kind of 15 pounds overweight. I'm kind of tired and I don't want to deal with 80 people in the lineup on
Let's check out that one over there. Tell us a little bit about that one.
This board here, this board's it's called the V2 Stub. It's a popular board in our line, the Rocket. You know, it's based off the Rocket. It's got our little V2 Rocket logo, but it's stubbed. It's a small wave board, but the most interesting thing about this board is the construction. This board was built with recycled EPS foam. It was glassed using super sap resin, which is an organic plant-based resin, kind of in the epoxy family. And then it's a hand-built board in Los Angeles, but it's also got a wood inlay. It's a bamboo wood inlay, and it's very articulate. I think it's 6 or 8 pieces of veneer.
Super cool looking.
And it's just a very artisan, very beautiful, articulate board.
What does this retail for?
This is getting up towards $800.
It is.
Board, yeah.
Bitchin' looking board, and it's
Beautiful
also
board. It's
eco-friendly.
eco-friendly.
More so than your standard.
It's a plant-based resin.
Yep.
The foam's been recycled from old EPS, and yeah, it's definitely you know, the holy grail is to find an organic-based or recycled or a sustainable materials that compete on price, performance, and workability.
Yep.
You know, we're not going to go out on a limb and make a sustainable or green or eco-based boards just to do it, just to say we did it. It has to make sense.
Yep.
You know, the surfer wants performance and price, and you know, if you can meld that together with the eco technologies, then all the better.
So this is reblown foam,
It's reblown foam.
and this is a pigment or something that was put into
The resin, yeah, it's a tint. It looks like they swirl.
Well, it helps
through it.
to, you know, when you do the recycled foam like that, sometimes you see the
It kind of
wood
masks
and
a little bit of
Yep.
the
It looks bitchin'.
irregularities. Sure.
And one more board there that I see over there, and you're handling the distribution for MR. Let's talk about that board, knowing that he's the man of the hour, being recognized here in the Icons of Foam.
One of the true
I'll grab this
benefits one of the best things I've been fortunate to do over the years is have a relationship with Mark. We started making his boards for the USA in about 2004, and I consider myself very lucky to have a guy like Mark Richards be a part of my life. And one of the most important things I learned about Mark is he's so well known for his surfing prowess. You know, 4 world titles. He's won contests, 2-foot waves. He's won contests at Waimea Bay. But his board design and his shaping tenacity and the detail of his designs.
That fly's bothering us.
That fly's punk rock.
Get him out of here.
He's amazing. I would say he's the most underrated surfboard craftsman. Even though he's so well known,
You were saying he's really
shockingly
meticulous.
underrated. Huh?
He's really meticulous about how fine detail.
His stuff is so accurate, so beautiful. And when I started making his 1978, 80, and 82 retro boards with the V bottoms and the twin fins, it really opened my mind to how to take a high, because I was always a little, you know, I'm overweight, whatever.
And now look at you.
Being a bigger guy and trying to paddle around on these high performance boards, it's always a struggle. So then you take these deep concaves and the modern board and blow it up, you end up feeling like you're on top of the water, and the board's hard to get on the rail. And when I first started working with Mark and first was introduced to true V bottoms and flat bottoms, and I could realize you could use so much more volume and still roll the board up on a rail and still control all that volume. It was really an eye-opening thing for me as a surfboard designer.
Let's take a load off and wrap things up here. Some fantastic insight. One of the world's best shapers, Matt Biolos. What's next? What are you working on?
Getting out of here.
Are you going to try and get in the water?
Tonight? No, I'm toast. I'm toast.
And I know you've got some questions, Dave, before we wrap it up here with Matt.
He wants to know my best board story, but
no,
well,
not on air. But got to ask you about when somebody orders a board from you, you give them the options about the glassing and a deck patch and that type of thing? I mean,
oh, for sure. Hey, the thing that separates surfboards from all the mass market, everything's the same products in the world, is we still make custom product. We don't charge any more for a custom board, and any kid can walk into a surf shop in just about any surf town in this country, hell, around the world, and he can order a custom handmade loft surfboard with pink and green and tint and a tail patch or carbon or just about any way he wants it. And 19 out of 20 times he's going to get exactly what he asked for.
The question that the kid's asking right now who's watching live, how long is that going to take for you to make that board for me?
It depends on the time of year. If you ordered it right before the Hurley Pro, it's going to add a little while. But 8 to 12 weeks, we can get a board to a customer. And if it's a guy in New Jersey, or I was just in New England, which by the way is a beautiful place in the world.
It is. Great lobster.
At least 6 weeks of the year. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we pride ourselves that we make custom product. Otherwise, you could just ship it all overseas like most other things we use.
Gloss coat, no gloss coat. What's the secret?
This board's got both.
Yeah, tell me about that.
This board's a gloss and polish on the bottom and then up onto the rails. And then we left the matte deck, no pun intended. And then if you look really close, you can see the glare of the logo. It has a spot gloss on it.
Well, is it true that some surfers don't want gloss at all on the bottom of the board? Does it go faster?
It's true that most surfers don't want to pay extra for it.
Is it heavier?
It does add a little bit of weight.
A little bit of weight. That's what I always thought. It was a little bit heavier.
And time to get the board. But it's interesting because we've been really promoting the resin tints, and a lot of guys in this building here are much more artisanal, small, local, boutique brands. And they've been doing this for years and years and years, the fun little beautiful resin tints and pigments. And I kind of got really passionate about it the last couple of years. We started taking it from just the retro type boards and putting it on high performance type boards. And what was really cool this year is Julian Wilson, when he came for lowers, said, hey, I want some of those resin tints on my contest boards. And most of his heats he surfed at the US Open was on a board with really bright neon resin tints. It was kind of cool, and he went outside the box and said, you know what, I want that on my contest board. And I don't think anyone's really done that before. It was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, Gabriel Medina did the marking on the bottom of his board, which he didn't use in France, but we told him during the Nike, the cameras were being able to pick up the bottom of his board.
What did he do?
He actually throws air, Medina.
Yeah,
and
no, I know.
The white on white, sometimes the judges can't really pick it up.
Yes,
he's spinning.
True. Gabriel is, I have a good relationship with his crew. His shaper stayed with me during the US Open. His name's Johnny Cabianca. He's a Brazilian living in Spain. He's the head shaper at Pucas in Europe. And he stayed with me during the contest, and we built a lot of boards for Gabriel that Johnny shaped. And the paint jobs are designed by the owner of Pucas' son, and they're the largest board manufacturer in Europe. And it's just, the whole Brazilian explosion, they're earning it, and their attitude's fantastic, and they're a little more like jock about things than we're used to seeing, a little more like that Adriano de Sosa thing. But you got to admire the hard work, the passion, and the skill that they're bringing to the table.
Well, Matt, we got to wrap it up. I got the director in my ear saying we got to keep rolling, boys. We could go on all day with you. Thanks for your time, some great insight, and your website. What's your website?
We have lostenterprises.com. That's our big blanket website. I have a blog. It's Mayhem B3 at Posterous.
And your Instagram, because you always have some epic shots of your boards and your new colors.
Instagram's fun.
What is it? How do I follow
Mayhem B3. If you search on Instagram, Mayhem B3 or Matt Biolos, either or.
All right, Matt. Well, fantastic. Thanks for spending some time with Dave and I. Coming up next, Robert August, live here in Del Mar, California at the Boardroom. Yo!